Welcome back, everybody. Nothing sums up the state of our nation better than Biden's brain, Karine Jean-Pierre, parading the cast of comedy show Ted Lasso in front of the White House press corps while Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin met in Moscow to solidify their unholy alliance and plot the destruction of the United States. Let's bring in our panel, former National Security Advisor for Trump in 2020 and President of Project Sentinel, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, and retired Air Force Special Operations Commander and National Security Expert, Major Glenn Ignacio. Welcome to you both, gentlemen. Major, I'm going to begin with you. That juxtaposition with Putin meeting with Xi and then Joe Biden hosting Hollywood only accentuated the perception that America is a punchline under Joe Biden and Democrats. Am I wrong?
No, I don't think you're wrong at all. There's the seriousness of the conflict in Ukraine. You have China and Moscow. You have deals being brokered with peace between Iran and Saudi Arabia. And why those huge things on the global stage that we could be involved in, you have this show happening into the White House, which is comical at best. His entire actions from the Afghanistan debacle to his actions on the global stage are exactly what he represents, very comical.
Colonel, unprecedented peace deal has been struck between Saudi Arabia and Iran. The big story is who brokered this deal. This independent reporter underscored the significance of this. Watch.
These two countries are sworn enemies. This is Sunni and Shiite Muslim. They're the two biggest players in the region, and they hate each other. But now they have an agreement for peace. And just as significant as the peace accord itself is who brokered it, China. That's right. China was able to achieve peace in the Middle East.
So, Colonel, then there are rumors that Saudi Arabia will begin settling oil transactions in the yuan, China's currency, instead of the U.S. dollar. Add to that reports of Saudi Arabia and Iran joining the BRICS nation alliance with all the world's major oil-producing countries, many of them U.S. allies like India. How concerned are you that the world is turning to China instead of the U.S. because they see China as being the only grown-up in the room?
China is the only grown-up in the room, and this is part of the long-term objective of China to undermine and completely eradicate our ability to have economic dominance. One of the things about the current situation, Chris, is since Nixon, the dollar has been the petrodollar. It's been the reserve currency of the world. Well, the Chinese PRC is slowly but surely undermining that. And everywhere you look at this point, from the brokered deal between the Sunni Shia, Iran, Saudi group, by the way, the Abraham Accords are completely gone. They're shredded. And the Biden folks did that purposely. They had no interest in continuing to promulgate that interlocutor of peace in the Middle East. And look what happened. And also the 12-point peace plan with Putin. Again, somehow Ted Lasso is supposed to be more important than Vlad Putin. And while I do grant you, apparently Ted is supposed to be a comedian, nobody can be funnier than funny man John Kirby himself and his complete inability to understand and speak clearly about what's going on with China. Just saying. I think John's got to beat still.
You teed this up, Major. Yesterday, John Kirby, the aforementioned, told Bloomberg that Xi's meeting with Putin was actually a good sign for the United States. Watch.
I think one thing you need to consider as you consider this visit to Moscow by President Xi is that it's also a manifestation of how much China and Russia know that American leadership on the world stage is back.
Major, the only thing that's missing there is a laugh track, right?
Yes, you're absolutely right. I'm trying to control my laughter so I can't respond. But it is. I mean, when you're saying America's strength on the global stage and it's recognized, I completely disagree. Why China is negotiating and the meetings were long in Russia. You're seeing China that definitely needs other support and materials, technology, because we've cut that back. Russia is fulfilling that. Russia needs more materials and weapons and so forth for the conflict in Ukraine. China is supporting that, and there's evidence on the battlefield already for that. And then pivot to that peace treaty in Saudi. We stepped away by not protecting Saudi with the Houthi issue. We really didn't back them up in United Arab Emirates when Iran was striking them. And Saudi Arabia was shocked with our Afghanistan withdrawal. Not only Biden also said that Saudi was a pariah because of the killing of the journalists. So we have completely alienated and pivoted so much out of the Middle East that this whole BRICS deal could actually crush us economically, not in conflict, but an economic conflict. So yes, we're playing a home game and playing down things while you see China and Russia really doing things intensely around the globe. That should be concerning for us, and we're seeing nothing happen.
Colonel, I've only got 30 seconds. You want to add to that?
Sure. Look, we have the high school debating team in charge of national security. And again, with Jean-Luc Picard, Karine, whatever her name is, and John Kirby, it's literally a clown. It's a clown show. And this administration continues to act emotionally about issues that should be completely logical and within scope of what we need to defend. And they're not doing it. So it is what it is.
Well, with all apologies to Star Trek fans, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer and Major Glenn Ignacio engaged. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Ron